make sure we're in the right places. Okay, everyone, we are live again. I'm back in the house in the W.I.N community with Miss Janine, aka Miss D. I always try to say it right, Miss Janine. You got to say it with the
Ja, the ja,
Ja. She's
the
gonna correct me every time, so just call her Miss D, y'all, because we don't want to mess
D.
that up.
You said D or Z?
D.
Oh, okay.
Miss
Okay.
D, she gonna make sure it's right. Hello. and I love that about her. And also, y'all get to know Miss D, because we have our amazing events in our W.I.N community, our meetups we have at her establishment, and she's also been able to come on and give us some advice and education on how she runs her business well. And we've been talking about testimonies. Testimonial Tuesdays is dedicated to that. And we're going to kind of continue this conversation, because last week we started off with telling you the good and the bad of it. We all get bad testimonials. We get good testimonials. You got to expect them both. But we want to continue the conversation in how you foster that experience for yourself, because I think last time when we were speaking, we talked about how it makes us feel, when we do a really good job and customers don't understand what goes into that. And they give like that bad review carelessly, without a thought. And that was something I think we have to kind of lean into. So let's continue the conversation and let's talk more about that experience. I want to know, and if you want to know more about Z, go back to the last live. We're not going to keep introducing her, y'all. We know her now. But I want to continue the conversation because I was curious as to, you have that hospitality background, is what you told us. But how do you continue to curate that experience even through the ups and downs? Because that's got to be challenging. And for those of us who maybe have not already established ourselves in the market to get those reviews, what are some of the things that you do really, to make sure that you have a sustainable practice to get those good reviews?
Well, I just start from, from what I want to experience when I go to a restaurant or someone else's establishment. So like I said, sometimes I go to places and I have experienced bad service, and I always remember in the back of my mind that I am a customer as well. So I want to give the same thing. I want to be treated as I am, what I would do to someone else. So if any other customers come to my establishment, I'm not going to try. I'm going to give them the best customer service possible. And how I do that is by remember, like I said, first of all, I am a customer. And also these people are the ones that keeping the doors open. There are the keys to our success. So that's first and foremost to me.
When you talk about that too, because I think some of us have to remember that every single time, right? Like, how do we want to be treated? And I think it's simply put, treat people like you want to be treated. But hospitality is different, right? Like, it takes a service type, and I think that's another thing we have to have a conversation about, the type of business that you're in. Some people just, maybe they don't know how to curate that customer service approach because they're not as passionate, or they don't have that understanding of like, okay, this is me in the customer's shoes. They're just trying to work the business, right? And I think we're all in different places. And so when you say, I just treat people how I want to be treated, is there a method behind that? Because one of the things that I do know is that running a business is frustrated. So when you have really bad days, or when you have times where you're just like, man, like I'm missing the mark, like what really keeps you in that flow or in that consistent measure without, that day being that bad customer service experience for someone because you had a bad day?
Well, number one, I try not to incorporate, because there have been some times that I've walked in the shop and be like, God, and I have woken up to having a bad day. But that energy has to turn around. Once the doors open, at 1 o'clock, that energy has to change. And sometimes dealing with customers, they will put you in that mood to give them bad service. And I say this to say that you have some customers that would come in there with a, a attitude, or for no apparent reason, or just their energy is all the way off. And I'm in tune with that type of um, activities. But however, what I do is remember that, everyone is human, first of all, and everyone has a bad day. It could be something, it could be a car broke down, it could be someone's having a bad day in their personal relationship, it could be a family member that just passed. So I try to be open-minded and keep all these things in mind when somebody comes into the shop and just like and feels like they, just giving me that attitude or whatever. So I am always mindful to that. Also, what I do is try to engage, make a personal connection, speak to the customer. Are you having a bad day? What can I do to make you smile? Those are what the cues that I give to open up, a conversation piece so that I can, make that personal connection.
I think that and I was trying to write it in my banner too, because I think what you're saying is so powerful, because we take ourselves out of the human experience to run businesses. Sometimes I believe this is just my personal intake, because when I started my first business, I was like, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this. It became more of a thought process rather than an embodiment of like, I'm a human being and I'm talking to other human beings, or I'm dealing with other human beings. And from what you said, just like the number one, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, and then just also just being very, I think our corporate partner said this earlier. She was like, just be polite. Like there's so many times where I can say for me, like I've actually had a bad day and I took it out on someone else, right? Like that's not uncommon. So when you have a customer that comes in, and this is why it's so powerful that you can kind of like look at this from from a boss perspective and say, you don't have to be 100%, I think, put together as a business owner. I just think you have to be aware, because we all kind of like have those bad days. So number one, put yourself in their shoes. Number two, just know that, they're not going to always have a good day, just like you're not going to always have a good day. Mm-hmm. So that's that. Now, for me, I personally think that it took time to grow into that. I don't know about you, but when I started out my first business, I started out very novice. Like I just told you, I was really trying to figure out the business itself. So when I had, issues, and sometimes that presented a lot of self-doubt, right? Like when people come to you with bad days or bad things, and they're like, oh, well, I don't like this and I don't like that. And you're just like, okay, well, I'm doing my best. So now you got to deal with outside complaints and chaos that happen. So for me, and this is where I want to redirect, because for me, I think over time you learn how to do that once you get a grasp of how your business works. I could be wrong, and I'm saying, so I just want to tell people, and I think for me, I think it's just a matter of I had to give myself grace over time, because I was a little hard on myself about that. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely correct in that aspect, because it doesn't come overnight. It's something that has to gradually grow with the business and with the business owner, because I am a hothead, and you get me wrong, I'm ready to, but at the same time, I had to learn how to channel that energy and then take a different tone to people and understand them. And doing so, let me give you an example. Last week, I woke up and I tried to make a call. My phone was off, and I'm like, "Why is my phone off?" I have T-Mobile, so I called T-Mobile, and I'm like, "Why did you guys cut my phone? Would they cut it off by accident?" And I was just ripping into the girl without allowing her to help me or whatever. And I was being really rude and belligerent. And I had to sit back, and you know what? And she said, "Ma'am, I'm trying to help you," and I'm still going on and going on. She said, "Ma'am, I'm trying to help you." And you know what? I had to sit there and say, "You know what? I apologize. I'm taking my frustration out on you. It's not your fault." And sometimes as human beings, we do that. And that person on the other end of the line have the capability to say, "You know what? I'm not going to help her. I'm not going to try to, go above and beyond for her, or they could take the tone and say, you know what, I am going to help her because she's being polite to me and she's being nice to me. So it's two sides of the dynamic with that. And we as human, we do that. And I found myself just literally just taking all my frustration out on this young lady. And I had to sincerely apologize to her and say, you know what, this is out of my character. I really apologize to you. And she was like, you know what, I understand.
I feel like that's how it is. I feel like that's exactly, especially as a business owner, when you grow. And Ariana, our co-founder, says all the time. She's like, the business is building you. And I found and someone said to me yesterday, they were like, you're different. You're not who you used to be when I met you 3 years ago. And I was like, good, because I don't want to ever be the same person that I used to be, but I do want to be better than I used to be. Right. And
Absolutely.
right. So when you're saying, hey, like, I know that I am still human. So I have times where I'm like, I may take it out on them. At the same time, I give myself grace for that. I don't know about you, because I've been down a path of dealing with customers' complaints the same way, having to get through, butt hurt feelings and emotions that I ain't even put on nobody, but also being the person on the other side of it and being able to say, dang, like, I'm human too. So I love it, because I feel like it's a acknowledgement that it's never one-sided. Like, we all have to kind of come to the terms that it's just an experience. So that, number one, I think it helps me want to be the business owner to get more testimonials, because I'm like, I need to see what people are really feeling, what their frustrations are, because that's really what it is, right? Like, information about what people are really experiencing. And sometimes, and I'll give y'all examples. Like, so I don't know if y'all work with Wix, but I work with Wix a lot, on one of the main website designer platforms that we use, especially for, like, solopreneurs and, entrepreneurs that just want to work on websites too on their own. Shout out to them. But I had some real issues, y'all. like they, pandemic hit, a lot of things switched over. And I was like calling them almost every day, because I mean, some of my accounts deal with, like, high tickets. So there's some things that some search softwares can't handle, y'all. So you figure out through the process, right? You're like, oh, they just can't handle what I do in volume. So, that's not the, necessarily a one person's fault. It's just figuring out where your business fits in place. Well, Wix had held back like thousands of dollars, y'all. It was crazy because of it, because I was using their payment processor. And my fault, right? I should have known better. Well, I was on customer service with them, and for about, I want to say 3 weeks, they held that money back. And y'all know, as business owners, we're like, we need this money like today, because in order for me to do certain things, like, that money's got to move. So I'm back here like, okay, like, I'll just wait for y'all to hold my money up. That's a customer service experience for me. When I have to, I don't care what it is, what kind of thresholds people have on their back end, the same way what kind of things you have in your business, your customers are not caring about that. I wasn't caring about what they had going on. I was just like, where's my money? Yeah. So my experience, y'all, and this is why I want to kind of distinguish too with you, Z, I want you to tell me what you think about this. I think user experience and customer experience, two totally different things.
You're
and
absolutely
I can rate you on both. And I will say this real quick, because I know you have probably like a bunch of examples of how this looks for you. But for me, the only reason why I stuck with the company was because of the customer experience, not because of the user experience. And this is why I think the customer experience, end all be all, is the best way to have a sustainable business, because even if the user experience is crap, which it was for me, and everyone heard it every single time I called, they got the whole butt end of it, but they were so patient and they were so kind, they were so understanding, and they were like, no matter what your user experience is, our job is to make sure you feel better at the end of this call. That's what kept my business, and still to this day, I still use that system that I should not be using, but at the, what I'm saying? Like, there you go.
The service is there. So that's going to keep you going back and continue the processes with them. And that's the same as any restaurant. If you go to a restaurant and their customer service good, but what they're offering may not be all good, or maybe you go there for the first time and you try something and what you tried may not be like appealing to you. But just because of that service, that customer service, you're going to go back and give them another try and try something else. You will. And I am like that. That customer service is top notch. I'm going to go back and try something else. And I'm going to continue to go back because you know what? That customer service is there. I would travel miles if you have great customer service. I will. Because that's so key for me.
I was gonna say, and I'm gonna put it up here too because customer service versus user experience. I just want to hear the poll. So for those of you who are looking at the poll, I want you to drop it in the comments and let us know like what really matters more to you: customer experience, user experience, or both. And we know both matters, but for me, customer experience more. My user experience, I think like it can always be improved, right? Like we can always get customer feedback if we're giving good customer service and say, how can we improve this experience for you? And I believe that even with testimonials, right? Because we're talking about how we build those testimonials, but then when people actually comment and they say what they have to say, we have the ability to comment back or to give feedback or to say, hey, we can, do better for the next time. That's why a lot of these big companies, they'll send you a coupon and say, hey, come shop again. Let's show you a better experience. Because they mastered that feedback talk. So I want to say this too, because you've mastered it. And I personally, this is just my personal opinion, I think that you've just been that way just as a person. Like, I think that it's something you can teach other people, which is a beautiful thing because now you can show people like this is how, and the Z brand does it. This is how we do it in Z's world. I do believe that is truly something that no one can mimic. Like some businesses will go out and try and mimic like a certain level of customer service, or they'll try and mimic like your look and things like that. But that's why it's like you have to go within to what works really well for you. And then I believe that becomes more authentic when you are doing your customer service. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I think that sometimes we see other people like yourself as business owners and we mimic who you are. And that's not who we are. And so the customer service approach seems very daunting, overwhelming. Like, people are like, well, I'm very introverted. I'm not as outgoing, I'm not the above and beyond type measure of a person. So I think that some of those things just naturally come with Z. But when it comes down to some of the basic principles of what we talk about, when you just said it earlier, put yourself in the other person's shoes and treat people with kindness because you never know if they're having a bad day like you do. Right. And those are the two things I think that people can walk away with. What else can they like really look forward to when it comes down to learning that? Because you do it so well. Like, and shout out to anybody who connects with Z, because if you want to learn like how she operates her brick and mortar and you're in Atlanta, my advice is to go down there and watch it, because it's a customer service experience. You can't just learn from someone telling you, you have to see it. But any other ways that people can really model that rather than mimic from you?
It basically starts from, like I said, it starts from within. And when you never know who's going to walk through your doors. That's first of all. It could be anyone. So you always want to get in a mindset, this person that walking in my door, I don't know who they are. They could be somebody potentially to help me, somebody to potentially harm me. Either way, you give them good customer service. And as soon as you walk through that door, they have to have a warm welcome. A warm welcome. And Interaction is very important, not just coming up to the register and here, let's change money. Let me give you what you came here for. Personal connection, building relationships. That's what I'm about. I want to build relationships. I want to make personal connections. I want to all of my customers may not be my friends, but I have made build relationships with a lot of my customers, and they come back and they just come back to the shop and just sit for hours and talk to me. And I'm like, wow, and I love that because I have made that personal connection with them. And once the customer leaves, you have to give them a fond farewell. And I believe that warm welcome, a fond farewell, and they're happy. You don't just, okay, that's it. No, see you later, talk to you later, hope to see you again. Make it personable. Give them an experience that they're not expecting.
It's amazing to me because as we're having this conversation, I'm a deep thinker. If y'all don't know that by now, I get very like sometimes so into the conversation that in that moment I'm like, okay, let me not go too deep there. But what I put up on the screen was really just some simple things you said, which was like have a simple greeting. When I walk into some of the establishments, and this is why when we talk about women owned, black owned, right, and when we kind of differentiate, sometimes I hate doing that because of the simple fact that I know some establishments that are stigmatized by being black owned, by being woman owned. And the one thing I love about really good businesses is when they have these components you talked about. One of the best businesses I've ever seen was a fish market, and it's like as soon as you walk there, they're always like, "Hey," and they're yelling at you, and they're throwing fish around, and they're always greeting you. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, Give Them the Pickle. Okay, and that used to be a hospitality thing they used to show us. I think when we worked at the airport, and they were talking about, sometimes people want that extra thing, like the pack up of ketchup or mustard or that extra little thing on the side, right? And sometimes we in business we go, oh, that's going to cost extra. It's going to cost 50 cents more. That's going to cost this. It's going to cost that. And we're literally like just nitpicking at people's paycheck. We're just nitpicking at their wallets. But Give Them the Pickle along with that greeting video that really encouraged me all of my hospitality journey too, because it's basically saying that you don't have to do any of that. When you greet people, when you make them feel warm and welcome from the beginning, that energy and that light that they feel upon entering a space, it changes the atmosphere for them. I've been in that atmosphere with you when you walk in your establishment and you do that. Same thing when you walk into Welcome to Mo's, right? Like when they don't say it, you're weirded out because you're like, wait a minute, like that's even on the commercial. Like y'all create that atmosphere. And so that's what I get from, just the simple warm welcome. And it doesn't take much, y'all, but I think that we just miss out on this when our focus is on money and not people.
Exactly.
Yeah, personal connections and fond farewells. I think that is a amazing way to really kind of like guide everyone into this space of thinking about it. Like, what are you doing this in your business? And it doesn't even have to be physical. It could be virtual too, because when someone comes in any of your spaces, even virtually, they should come into a welcoming atmosphere. They should already feel like, some of us do it really well on our social media. When someone joins our page, they get a welcome DM. Hey, welcome to my page. Thank you for joining, right? Like it's the same thing. So that, and then bye, have an amazing day. Thank you for coming. Z, I want to tell you something. You almost walked me out the door. Okay. When I say you almost walked me out the door, honey, when I say like really care about and I'm just going to describe it as in the milkshake martinis brand, because what you're talking about is what you live. And I want us all to learn from this. It's a personal connection. We had that, and we're going to have more meetups at the milkshake martinis down the line, y'all. So join us for that. We had a really good time. And she does not hold that pickle because I had a whole cheesecake in my milkshake. But I just love the personal connection of you sitting down with us, wanting to actually be in tow and in touch, telling us about your business, right? That
Mm-hmm.
was huge for us, because how many establishments do you go to and you get to see the owner work and then have that moment to say, hey, I got 5 minutes for y'all. Let me make this special. That was truly an honor. And then a fond farewell. Like I said, she literally would walk me to my car and help me put my bags in. This is all from a heart of someone who I believe, if y'all have not uh, heard the story, we're going to be doing an interview next week, next Monday, and I'm going to be digging deeper into some of the things that you've already told me in our pre-interview. And this is going to help y'all understand how to dream really big, because Z has an establishment, a brick and mortar that is right now thriving. And if you are, doing anything from like Valentine's Day coming up in February, I'm sure Z has events coming up as well. She has games and stuff already in there ready for you to play. But before we just kind of wrap it up, I just want to, first of all, I want to let everyone know how to support you. And then second, tell us, anything with regards to when it comes down to getting more testimonials. Do you have methods where you're just like, how do I increase this? And I'm only asking because sometimes people, and this is something we can talk about next week, sometimes people need ways to get more. And I have some tidbits on this that I would like to share, but I want to see if you've mastered anything in this area, Z, what really works for you.
Actually, I have not mastered it, because a lot of customers that come in there, they don't leave reviews, um, good or either bad. They just, hey, they come in there, they come back without leaving reviews. But on my part, what I've started to do is go get what I'm incorporating soon. Hopefully, it'll be by the end of this week. Is I'm going to get a picture frame, and I'm going to frame it, and just you able to scan it and go to Google and give us your review. Let us know how your experience was. So that's one of the ways that I am incorporating, and there's going to be a few more options out there coming up. I can't discuss that right now, but yeah, that's one of the ways that I'm going to incorporate of getting more reviews.
Okay, I'm just while you're speaking, I'm over here looking on Google too, because I'm gonna definitely highlight that next week, y'all. Make sure you join us for the Tuesday Testimonial Tuesday. Uh, we have this conversation to make sure that we can bring awareness to your process of gaining testimonials, understanding how to get through the frustrations of it. Ms. D has shared some stuff with us the last live. You all will see that going out in your emails if you are on the subscribers list for the W.I.N community. If not, make sure you get on there. But I want to, and here's what I'm trying to do, Z. I'm trying to grab the link for your reviews. You have lots of reviews on Yelp, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab that one, hopefully, and I'm gonna drop that in this link for all of you to, especially if you came to the last meetup. What I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and drop your review. Let us know how you enjoyed it, and every time. And Z, let me know if that's the right link, because that's Yelp. I think you have the Google My Business link too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to find that for next week. Okay, so it's easy to find, y'all. Just go ahead, look for milkshake martinis on Google. But I want you to start. I want us to start practicing this. And we'll talk about some strategic ways next week. One, the way you're talking about with the signs, so easy. And you know what? You can. There's there's
Code.
like machines, y'all, that you can really just kind of like print QR codes that you can stick in different places too. There's so many creative ways to get testimonials, but we'll talk about that next week. In the meantime, drop your questions if you have any. I'm going to encourage you all to do this. That way, next week, when we come back to this live, we'll answer some of your questions about testimonials, because it's not always comfortable getting them. I've seen people come to me and say, I don't want to open up a Google My Business because I don't want bad testimonies. I've heard people say they don't want to actually ask for testimonies because they don't feel like they're ready yet. I think that you should start from where you are. And I've seen some people.
I think to cut you off, Allegra, but I think having it is a good tool to measure your success and measure how you know with your how you are with your customers, I wouldn't be afraid, because even if you get a bad review and it's on you, you have the opportunity to turn it around. So,
Mhm.
you know, negative feedback is not always bad. It's not.
But that's easier said than done. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're right. Like, I believe just like you believe, but I do know, realistically speaking, I've been in that place before, like just not sure of where I was or what I needed to do. And I think what you're saying is just basically, take a chance on yourself. Like, like you're gonna, what I'm saying? Like, so what? Somebody gets to write a review that may not be to your liking. I was able to, I mean, any of the reviews that I deemed as bad, like I was telling you about, they don't even
Mm-hmm.
matter anymore. Right? They were from
Right.
3-4 years ago. It doesn't matter. So you're right. And I agree. We'll talk more about that next week. Any final words of advice you want to leave us with, Z, just to make sure we can kind of clear our heads and think about maybe doing some homework till so we can get it right?
Um, the only advice that I may have is to for business owners to take a look at the type of services they're offering, customer service they're offering. And you know what? A lot of business owners are not there at the business. So that's kind of hard. You have other people in places at the business. So it's a double-edged sword. So if you're not personally there at your business, some business owner, I don't have that luxury yet. I have to be there. But you have to have people in places to take on those challenges for you and observe what you need to do better. And just me, I write everything down. I write a lot of stuff down, and not must I mean takeaways and additions. I just add them down and I compile them, and I go from that point. Whatever I need to add, what I need to take away, what I need to make it better. Just do what you need to do to get your business going and be successful with the customers, because like I said, they're a key priority.
You know what? I truly appreciate that, because I remember being in 9 to 5s, and I remember being in hospitality mainly. And we did a project one time where we were actually encouraging people to give reviews. That was like a thing for us. And the owner wasn't there in house, but we had a culture. And so, for owners that are not in the business like you are physically, and that people can see presently there and active, it does feel a little bit like dismissed. Like you don't know what's happening directly in your establishment. So you do have to have someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's that you can trust, that like that can say, hey, this is what's happening while you're not here. So I think that comes with a responsibility of duplicating ourselves, and that's why I think you're still where you are, because you have to make sure you have somebody
Then
to
you
do
have
that.
to coach that person or persons um, to litigate that to your customers. And hey, this is how I want my customers to be treated. These are our core values. Let's start from our core values, and we're gonna tailor our service around each and every one of these core values. And that's huge.
We got to talk about, well, we're really going to have to get deeper into this, because if you're definitely wanting to get good customer testimonials, your customer services have to stem down from you. And when you duplicate yourself into another person, I believe that their character has to match your core values. I just do not think you can teach someone how to have a great attitude. So we'll talk more about that next week. Thank you, Z. Appreciate you as
Thank
always.
you.
Y'all go check her out. Anywhere we need to follow you today? Anything special coming up?
Um, we're offering a shake and paint for kids for Valentine's shake and paint. It won't be exactly on Valentine's Day, but it'll be the 17th of February. to 4. The link is in my bio on Instagram at milkshake_martini. I am partnered with Party by Design. So we plan to do a lot of fun activities for the kids and let them enjoy themselves.
That's gonna be so much fun. Well, I look forward to that. I don't have any kids, y'all, but I do have a niece. And what's the age range for
The age
that?
is from 5 to 14, 5 to 14.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we got a lot of people with kids in Atlanta. I'm sure y'all know who y'all are. Bring your kids out. All
Seating is
right.
limited. Now, seating is limited. I think we have probably about 40 slots. So seating
Okay.
is
Well, get your slot. I know that like we talked about. I know Miss Danette. I know she said she had like 50 grandkids. Miss Ernest got like 60 grandkids. Listen, we have some powerful women in this community that just we showed up together, so that's how we know. But the more and more we show up for our meetups every single month, y'all will get to know more of each other. But yeah, we have grandchildren, children. All these things are ways for us to support each other in our community and get ourselves involved, right? Get out of the house. Don't feel stagnant. I know a couple of our community members. The last time, even with your establishment, Z, they were like, "Oh my God, it's so nice to get out the house." I'm like, "Get out the house." Like we should be out of the house, and life is like life is here. We have no day is promised. So get out there, treat yourself to a milkshake with a cheesecake on it. Go see Miss Z and tell her we sent you. All right, we gotta go.